Are you tired of dusting your toys and collectibles and the shelves you display them on? In this video, I'm going to show you how to add acrylic sheets to your newly made garage shelf display. Coming up next. Welcome to Pop Culture Living Room. My name is Costa, and on this channel we do toy and collectible reviews, previews, and fun boxings. Yeah, I said it, fun boxing. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Toy collecting has been a passion of mine for over 30 years. I've collected mostly Hasbro's Star Wars 3 3/4 line, Transformers, and McFarlane toys. 6 years ago, I joined the big leagues and started collecting 1/6 scale figures. Today, we continue turning an ugly garage shelf into a beautiful display case work of art. We will be adding acrylic sheets to the garage shelf and making it dust proof. I hate dust. I will walk you through step by step on how to do this. Because of COVID, acrylic is very expensive, though it has started coming down in price. Initially, I wanted to get all my acrylic pre-cut to the sizes I needed. This added a ton of money to the final cost, so I decided to order large panels and cut them myself. I found out the cheapest way to buy acrylic is to buy them in sheet sizes divisible by 12. That's why I ended up with 48 by 72 and 24 by 72 inch sheets. I was able to reduce the cost of the side sheets even further because I went with the thinnest possible sheets available at 1/16 of an inch. I don't plan on removing the side sheets once they're installed. The front panel is a bit thicker at 3/32 of an inch, mainly because I want them to be a bit more rigid when I remove them. When shopping for acrylic, I found that buying local was best. This way you don't have to worry about crazy, insane shipping costs, and you can get sizes not available at Home Depot for a better price. Now, be sure you watch to the end, as throughout the video, I will be giving tips on how to make the build easier, and I will give the final cost and my final thoughts for the complete build. 48 inch by 72 inch by 3/32 of an inch acrylic sheet, two 24 inch by 72 inch by 1/16 of an inch acrylic sheets, 1/2 inch wide by 1/4 inch thick by 13 feet long open cell foam adhesive strips, magnetic tape, 2 inch black vinyl tape, razor knife, clamps, straight edge, dry erase marker. Tip number 1, keep the plastic or paper covering the acrylic sheets on until they are ready to be put on the garage shelf. This will keep the surface of the acrylic safe while you work on it. For the front panels, first we will cut the 48 inch by 72 inch by 3/32 of an inch acrylic sheet into 3 separate panels. This will allow for easy removal, so you don't have to remove one enormous panel, especially if you only want to work on one particular shelf. For the cutting order, we will start with the top panel and work our way down. We will need to measure the opening of each section on the shelf. For the top panel, we will measure from the top of the top shelf to the middle of the second shelf. This gives us a height of 25.5 inches. The middle section will be measured from the middle of the second shelf to the middle of the third shelf, which gives us a height of 24.5 inches. For the third and final section, we will measure from the middle of the third shelf to the bottom of the bottom shelf. This gives us a height of 21.25 inches. For the side panels, we will keep them as one large panel, but we will need to cut them down from 72 inches to 71 3/16 inches. Lay the large 48 by 72 inch panel flat and measure the height of the top section and make a couple marks. Take your straight edge and draw a line across the panel, marking the height. Then take the panel and clamp it to a table with a straight edge so you can make your cut nice and straight. Once clamped down, take a razor knife and start scoring. Not that kind of scoring. You will need to do this several times. I scored mine 10 to 15 times. Then you will flip the panel over and score it from the other side. After we're done scoring, gently apply even pressure and the piece should break off cleanly. It does not need to be perfect, as this will end up being covered by vinyl tape. Tip number 2, try to have patience when scoring. If you don't score the acrylic enough, you will end up with jagged pieces. Though, you can remove these pieces with a pair of pliers. But if you are a perfectionist, I would recommend scoring the acrylic a little more than I did. If you want, you can purchase some scrap acrylic to practice your scoring technique, or purchase an acrylic knife specifically made for cutting acrylic. We will next cut the second and third front panels, and then the two side panels. These will be done in the same way we cut the top front panel. Lots of scoring. When we are finished, we will have two side panels with the length of 71 3/16, one top panel that is 48 by 25.5 inches, one middle front panel with the size of 48 by 24.5 inches, and the bottom front panel with the size of 48 by 21.25 inches. Now let's make them look pretty. We will be adding a black border around each panel. We're going to use 2-inch wide black vinyl tape for this. This will allow us to fold the tape over the sides and will help to stop light from bleeding through the edges of the acrylic panels. The border for most of the panel sides will be a 1-inch width, with exception to the top of the top front panel, the bottom of the bottom front panel, and the tops and bottoms of the side panels, which we will make 1.5 inches wide. Let's start with the top front panel. Peel back the protective plastic a few inches around the border of the acrylic panel. Do this on both sides. When adding the vinyl, start by doing the sides first and then doing the top and bottom. I just like the way it looks and it'll add some consistency. Measure 1 inch in and make a mark using a dry erase marker. I use a dry erase marker because when finished, you can wipe off any excess marker with ease. Take your straight edge and line up the marks made and draw a line with the dry erase marker. This is now your guide for laying down the vinyl tape. Now let's add the tape. Pull a long piece of tape and start laying it to the acrylic. Make sure there is an inch or so overhang so we can fold over the tape on the edge. Follow the line made and bring the edge of the tape to the line. As you go, make sure you are pressing the tape down and eliminating air bubbles along the way. Tip number 3, you may want to practice this part. I noticed as I went along from panel to panel, I was getting better each time at eliminating the air bubbles and making the tape lay smooth. Once you're finished taping the side, make a cut so the end can be folded over. Then you will make a second cut to help with folding over the long edge of the panel. Next, we will do the same for the other side, and then we will do the top and bottom. Tip number 4, just in case you didn't get it yet, for all panels, add the vinyl to the sides first and then the top and bottom. I feel it is a better look and each panel will match. Seriously. Next, we will move on to the middle front panel, then the bottom front panel. Once we're done with the front panels, we will move on to the side panels. Once all of this is done, we will move on to dust proofing. I hate dusting my figures, or anything for that matter. Also, I have pets and their fur gets everywhere. It was a no-brainer for me to add the acrylic, and it was a no-brainer for me to make the shelf dust-proof. We will be using open cell foam adhesive strips. We will be adding the foam strips to the edge of all the sides of the panels. First, we will cut the 1/2 inch thick strips in half to make 2 1/4 inch strips. Now you have 2 13-foot strips from 1 roll of foam. Now measure the foam to each side of the panel and cut. Once you have all the pieces of foam needed for each side of the panel, remove the paper from the adhesive and begin applying the foam to the edge of the side of the panel. Since we cut the foam strip in half, one edge of the foam will be straight and the edge that was cut will be less straight. Make sure the straight side edge is on the outside part of the panel. It helps with lining the edge straight and looks better overall. Cut any excess. We will do this for all the panels. Tip number 5. Halfway through filming this, I found an easier way for doing the foam. Before you cut the strips in half, you can measure the length you need for one side. Then, when you cut the strip in half, you will have 2 strips of the same length for 2 of the sides of the panel. Ta-da! Magic! Finally Finally, we will add the magnetic tape to the inside of the open cell foam. I decided to go with the open cell foam and magnetic tape combo rather than using Velcro because I wanted a lower profile to the acrylic and find it easier to remove the panels with the magnets versus the Velcro. You want your magnetic tape to be 1/2 inch wide. The magnetic tape is 1/16 of an inch thick, and I found that doubling it up to make it 1/8 of an inch thick works best with the 1/4 inch foam. Tip number 6! To save some cash, you can buy 1 inch thick magnetic tape and cut it in half. I tried this and it worked great for me. Each panel will have a different magnetic tape setup. The magnetic tape does not need to completely go around the panel. We only need enough to supply a strong hold to the garage shelf. We will bypass areas with rivets and where there is the raised section in the garage shelf where posts connect. I started by using the top of the top shelf as my starting point and measured down from there to map out where the magnetic tape would be adhered to the acrylic panel. Magnetic tape was used between the long distances between rivets, but not when the rivets were right next to each other. Tip number 7, when you adhere the magnetic tape to the acrylic, let it sit for a few hours before you attach it to the garage shelf. It will allow the adhesive to set. For the most part, the magnetic tape has stuck on great, though there were a couple pieces that needed a little extra adjustment. Here is what each panel looks like with measurements. Now that all the panels are ready, let's take off the protective paper or plastic, clean the inside of the acrylic, and put them on the shelf. Once on, we can clean the outside. Damn, that shelf looks amazing. Here is the total cost by materials used for the entire build, including part 1. For a first try, this shelf looks amazing. Is it perfect? No, but I made it with my own 2 hands. I can forgive a little imperfection. I definitely would care more if I bought a custom shelf and it wasn't perfect. This has been a labor of love. This project wasn't just about saving money. Collecting toys and building things helps me get out of my head, and it also helps me with my depression and anxiety. Boy, does it feel good to create something. My name is Costa. This is Pop Culture Living Room. Peace!